Ah. Ooh. There are lots of reasons to get an aftermarket stand for the Nintendo Switch. For one thing, paying $350 for a Switch OLED model just for the stand is a bit excessive. That's even assuming you can find one, and assuming you're able to only spend $350 on it. But my most recent experience came as a complete surprise. When trying to set up the family's most recent game night, I discovered the left control stick of our Switch Lite was barely hanging on. And none of the kids told me because, well, let's be honest, they probably thought I'd be mad.
Oh well.
Not to worry, I grabbed the extra gamepad stand from the Wii U Premium bundle. It wasn't being used very much anyway. And we paired it with the Pro Controller. No problem. Well, a bit of a problem because apparently the Switch hadn't been charging this whole time. I couldn't very well charge it in the spare Wii U stand. And naturally, the gamepad charging cradle isn't compatible. So one kid had to play with the Switch Lite hunched over on the couch, while the other two experienced the Metroid series for the first time. You don't have to tell me. I know I'm a good dad. Now, I've long wanted a stand I could use to play my Nintendo Switch Arcade Archive games in vertical fashion. So I finally went online and grabbed this HORI PlayStand I've been eyeing up for a while. While I was there, I also picked up this Joy-Con control stick repair kit, which matches the color of the Switch Lite, but that's another story entirely.
Hey!
There were several options, but I went with HORI because they've had a long-standing relationship with Nintendo consoles. So, will HORI do what Nintendo don't? Seriously, I have 3 kids under the age of 10. I'm shocked I even know where this thing is. There's not much in the package, and the directions for how to set it up are on the back of the box. Man, it's bigger than I expected, nearly the size of the Switch. Okay, let's set it up. And that's pretty much it. The stand has 3 levels of tilt, but doesn't fasten in anywhere, so it'd be pretty easy to just knock it over. As predicted, the Switch Lite sets up nicely, and the charging cable is neatly out of the way. Okay, pass! That's it for this section. Fortunately, you don't need to do anything special to set up the stand to hold your Switch vertically, but you do need to change a setting for each game. Arcade Archive's Donkey Kong was the main reason I wanted this stand, plus it's the 40th anniversary, so... Oh man, yeah, that does not take up much screen real estate. You're not stuck with this though, because you can pop into the screen orientation menu, which is in about the same place for each of these games.
And, you know, another big reason I wanted to get this version of Donkey Kong is because I'm pretty sure it's the most complete console port of the arcade game ever made, because apart from the vertical orientation, each one was missing at least one major detail. This intro animation, for instance, doesn't exist in any of the carts that I own, and I'm including the NES and Famicom, ColecoVision, Intellivision, and Atari 2600 ports. Lack of memory space or power are understandable excuses on early 80s consoles, but the lack of the how high can you go screen between levels, less so. Most crucially, however, no version I've ever played before contained all the arcade screens because...
Man, I do not remember this level. Are those pies? Okay, Mario can't touch the death pies. No pie for you. The real surprise was Punch-Out, which in arcades was actually 2 CRTs stacked vertically. So I wonder what... Oh, this is completely unplayable. Oh, I'm just kidding. It has a much more legible side-by-side mode by default.
Ladies and gentlemen, Glass Joe!
Actually, I feel like I could play this without the vertical stand. Might even be bigger. If I didn't know any better, I would say that it's supposed to be presented like this. This game definitely makes the most of its horizontal real estate, better than any other Arcade Archive games I've found, but man, why do they even have this other mode? Anyway, the arcade game is both really similar to, but plays pretty differently from, the NES versions. I'm just going to set an interrupt here so I can come back to it later, assuming that's even how this works. Okay, pretty cool, but I also picked up some other Arcade Archives games, including the original Pac-Man, which, as it turns out, also looks better vertically. Yep, sure is Pac-Man. So, it turns out this stand actually was a good buy. There aren't a ton of arcade or other games that use a vertical configuration, but for the ones I do have, it worked great. Also, my kids have already used it for the Switch Lite, so it does both things I need. And it will even collapse down to store in my Switch case. For the most part. Maybe I can stow it like this? It even snapped shut when collapsed, which... Man, I wish there was some way it locked while standing up. Because if something comes up from behind, it's just going to collapse. And, son of a...
Famicom Dojo.
We've already put this stand to good use. Check out this video we made about Game Boy for Nintendo Switch. And if you spy the Zelda Game & Watch in the background, stay tuned for a breakdown of all our favorite tips and tricks. And be sure to join us every week for Famicom Dojo Live, where we stream a different game. Oh, my finger.